Jayme, you are a NLP practitioner. You're also a wellness coach. But can you share a little bit about your upbringing? Was there a moment or influence that led you down this path?
Yes, great question. I will say this in a very short way, and if you want to elaborate or ask more questions, feel free. I'm a big believer we can only connect the dots looking backward, and I have a very diverse resume personally and professionally where I've just been through a lot of stuff. So the school of hard knocks trained me very well. But one thing is, I've always been somebody with a ridiculous amount of energy. I've been a coach of some sort my entire life. So just kind of as life kept lifing, I've always also been very intrigued by how the brain works, and an opportunity presented itself for me to get certified as a life coach. And it made sense because I've always worked for myself. I've been a coach of some sort, anyways. And from there, I just kind of started my journey.
Fascinating. And what experiences shaped your understanding of human behavior?
Yes. So on the personal side, came from a broken home. Parents got divorced when I was 5. Essentially, anger and alcohol raised me. I've experienced death. I've lost people to murder, suicide, overdose, car accidents, cancer. I've been in abusive relationships, have issues or have had issues with drugs, alcohol, eating disorders, the gym is my drug of choice. Attempted to end my life on multiple occasions, was raped at one point, experienced massive burnout where I got put on bed rest for an entire week when I was 26, due to a kidney infection and doing way more than what my body could keep up with. And then professionally, I've worked for myself since I was 18, have been working since I was 11, and I've done hair, massage therapy, network marketing, sold insurance. I was a Zumba instructor. I did hair on dead people, was a facilitator for grieving kids due to death of a loved one. Yeah, worked with special needs individuals, volunteered with a lot of other people dealing with grief and overcoming really hard things in their life. So a lot of different experiences. That I had to learn how to overcome. And then in addition to that, I've always played a lot of sports.
Yeah.
So with that, there was kind of that athlete mentality and creating resilience and consistency and training maybe when you don't want to and overcoming hard things. And so I think just the compilation of all of this very much taught me a lot about human behavior.
And what did you understand about your own behavior and how you respond to emotions? I mean, what a traumatic experience and so much pain and hardship that you've had to overcome. What did that teach you about yourself?
Yeah. So one of my actually like I'm gonna answer a question you didn't even ask me, but I promise it's gonna go back to this. One of my favorite questions that people will ask me is like, if you could go back and change anything, or like, what is your biggest regret, or if like, would you change any of it? And I'm like, absolutely not, because the value, I wouldn't want to go back and relive it. Let's get that, very clear. But like, it taught me so much because I experienced it. And so although it was very hard, like none of us escape life without adversity. And so it was just all of these different forms still led to the same common denominator that all starts and ends within my mind. And I have the choice to do something with this information. And I can either let it control me, or I can choose to overcome it and become more resilient and then use it for good rather than keeping myself miserable and making other people miserable along the way. So for me, I've always joked and said I'm a very stubborn human and I'm a slow learner. And so that also now serves to my advantage of being able to help people because of it. So,
Yeah. And you work with a lot of high performers as well, Jamie. Very high performance entrepreneurs. And, you know, I think that also anyone that dives into entrepreneurship knows how hard it is and how difficult it is to run a business. It's extremely difficult. And how did your own personal definition of success evolve over time?
yeah. So initially, right, like the world and like being here in America, like that's the American dream. Like you're supposed to graduate, make a whole bunch of money, get married, have a huge retirement account, and then just be able to go travel the world, right? Like, so culture like sold us on what this idea of success was, of money, power, fame. And so that was one part of me that was chasing that. But the other was that because of all the different experiences that I had from like the trauma, which
Mm,
a lot of the high performers that I work with, if they also came from traumatic experiences, is they had to take control. They had to only rely on themselves and nobody else. And so it became the drug of choice, maybe instead of drugs and alcohol, sex, whatever, that's what became a healthier alternative to just live relentlessly and run from vulnerability and having to experience love and actually trust like peace in a chaotic environment. And so I think that for my personal journey, a lot of it for me was that I knew how much it sucked to feel the way that I did, that I didn't want anybody else to feel that way, but I also never believed and trusted that anybody else was gonna take care of me.
mm.
So it was this mentality that, like, sink or swim, Jayme, like, if you wanna be successful, like, the only person who can do that is you, and so it served me for a very long time until it started to hurt me.
Yes. You know what I've come to learn as well, Jamie, is some of the kindest, some of the most benevolent people that are so friendly and warm have been through the darkest depths. They've been through severe depression and adversity and lots of
Definitely.
pain. And I learned very on as well through my own hardship and adversity that I just care for so much about other people. And, that would obviously transfer into your work. And this is why you're
Yep.
so successful with a lot of these entrepreneurs is because you have a life experience. What are some of the tools that you're able to educate these individuals and overcoming their own setbacks?
Yeah, so a lot of the NLP work that I do, which if people Google it, a lot there's also like coding stuff that stands for NLP, so people aren't really sure what that is, but it's neuro linguistic programming. The way I personally like to describe it is it's a tactical way to rewire the brain. So I like to take people through like gaining clarity on what's really keeping them stuck, being able to monitor and uncover the emotional regulation or lack thereof within their thought processes and the emotions that are attached to those thoughts and the habits that follow that. And so being able to kind of peel back all the layers and find out where the roots are and then rewire their thinking and
Mm,
create a new default neural pathway within their brain, that's kind of how I'm able to help them achieve success in that way because, you know, as I already mentioned a little bit earlier, that we are all chasing thinking that success means money, power, fame, when in reality, whether we've been through the darkest of times or not, like we always feel better when we love and help other people. And we naturally like to feel that in return. So true success lies in love, connection, and serving. And so
yes.
being able to help people rewire even that perspective and um, define success on their own terms, not because of what the world told them that would be. That's kind of
Mm,
another angle that I help them just sit in because it's not that they can't do that on their own. It's just life is happening and they're super busy all the time. So it's the accountability and it's challenging them with questions to get them out of their own way of thinking.
yeah. You hear a lot about individuals that are hyper ambitious and very successful that
Mhm.
they realize they come to a point where they've done all these things, these remarkable things, and then they feel that sense of like loneliness. They feel that they aren't really happy within themselves. What is that core belief, that they sort of strive to be successful and they're very industrious, they work hard, but yet they still feel empty inside? What is the core root of that? Have you come to learn what that is with these high performance entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I have a couple different phrases for it. One is the "I'll be happy when" syndrome, or what I like to call Wenderland, is that again, there's this point, whether it be because of feeling the need to prove that they're enough, or they put this really, really high expectation of what life will be like when it gets good. And so they keep chasing that, but when never seems to arrive because they haven't been able to experience the peace and
Mm,
where they're at now while still understanding the ability to still chase more in the future. One of the most powerful discovery sessions I ever did on a potential client, the gentleman was 77 years old. He was like top 4% in the auto industry here in the United States. 5 kids, all successful, married, debt free, owned multiple homes, all of the things. He gets to the end of his career, retires. He's still married to his wife. They're strong in their faith, all these things. And he's telling me all this. So then finally I'm like, "Sir,
Mm.
this is great. Like, why are we talking right now? Like, why are you wanting to potentially be coached by me?" And he's like, "Well, my wife thinks I'm a lot. I think I'm a lot, and I just don't feel like I really serve a purpose." And I was like, "Okay, you're retired now. Is that because the honeymoon phase of finally retiring has like worn off and now you're bored?" And he stopped for a second and took a deep breath and was like, the easy answer would be yes. He goes, "But I have felt this way my whole life
Wow.
because I just happen to be really good at making money, and it was better than ending up in jail by choosing drugs and alcohol." So he was living the American dream as America sees it, but he missed all of it because he was just chasing when. And then
Yes.
now he's at 77, like, I guess I have something to show for it, but I don't feel like I appreciate it or actually really embraced it as it happened.
Mm. Yeah, and I can think of a number of entrepreneurs, hyper successful, that have had some sort of traumatic experience or hardship that they've overcome, or maybe it was a parent that wasn't attentive. They had this
Yeah.
idea that they need to prove themselves to their parents. I
Yep.
think Tony Robbins said once, the key to happiness is progress. And I sort of reflect back on that and I think about what does that mean, progress? I think it's spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, uh, all these things. And a lot of people think that success is just the end goal. And it's actually the pursuit, it's that grind. And when you're in it, that's what sort of gives you that fire, that motivation, and that sense of feeling uh, fulfilled. But with working some of these high performance entrepreneurs as well, Jamie, how can someone start to separate their identity from their own achievements?
So I think that step one for anybody wherever they're at is that you need to literally just stop, take a deep breath, and like ask, who am I and what do I actually want? Because the world has us moving at such a fast pace. We're even addicted to personal development and
Mm,
trying to even achieve in how we're personally developing that we don't just slow down and be like, let me just think for a moment for myself. Not because a book told me this, not because a podcast said it, not because Joe on social media said this is how he found it and this is what he wanted. Like, actually, just sitting by yourself in silence. So many people don't need to do that. And I'm not
mm,
even saying do meditation because for achievers, that is also something you're trying to accomplish. Hey, I went through this meditation for 20 minutes and I
mm.
successfully only thought of one thing, or I successfully tapped into my inner child. It's still an achievement. So it's like genuinely just like sit there, let yourself be bored and be curious of like, who am I? What genuinely lights me up? What is this really all for? And why would I want to keep doing it? I think that's the starting point.
Yeah. And would you agree as well, Jamie, that acts of service and doing things for other people is what really keeps you grounded, keeps you fulfilled? It's doing things that I guess when no one's watching. Do you incorporate a lot of these things with your coaching with a lot of these high performance people?
1,000%. I am very, very strong in my faith, but I mean, I work with people who are atheists, so it's not like that's a requirement. But I think that when you recognize and you are able to understand that there is something far greater than ourselves, as I mentioned, the world tells us money, power,
Mm,
fame is what makes us successful. But when like every single one of us have the same exact purpose from inception. It is to serve, it is to love, it is to connect. And so in that, like that's very much what I tell them and I bring into this is because life truly is so much better when it's not about you. Because
Yeah.
think about it, we have access. The fact that you're in Australia and I'm here in Texas and we're able to access and communicate and connect right now, we should be more fulfilled than ever before because of community and relationship, but we're not. And the
Yeah.
reason being is because we're also in this trend of I need to think about me, my happiness, my truth, my success. And when you make life all about me, no wonder you're lonely
Yeah.
because all you're thinking about is yourself. But when you get outside yourself and genuinely do something that serves and blesses other people, you get that blessing too. And that's another thing is for achievement. When you start doing something from a space of fulfillment, you reap the benefits as you're giving those benefits to other people. And those are
Mm.
truly the most successful people you will ever come across in this world.
Yeah. I'm going to sort of talk about something that's going to be a little bit controversial. If you think about Robin Williams, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, Stephen Boss Twitch, who was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. These three individuals were hyper successful. They had loving people, family, and friends around them. And tragically, all three of them took their own life. Um, what is something that we can learn from that?
So I think two things. Because ironically enough, when I had first started my coaching business, that was part of my tagline is I'm the coach for the strong friend. Because
Yeah,
when all of these different suicides happened, that was the phrase that went viral on social media is don't forget to check on your strong friend. And it's okay to not be okay. And all of that is true. But there's two parts to this. One, as an individual, we have to be willing to share that information with somebody else. Like we can't because and I'm also like, mentioning it being controversial. I'm speaking from my own experience. I attempted to kill myself on multiple occasions. And in that, it was because I allowed these dark thoughts to just play through that I'm a burden, nobody cares. I'm in this life all by myself and I have to fix like nobody knows that those are my thoughts unless I communicate it to somebody and I give someone the opportunity to be there. I
yeah,
think that's the first part, but I do also think that what we all can learn from it is don't ever assume like we need to stop treating relationships and the people that we bring into our life as such a transaction. Like we weren't built to do life alone. And
mhm,
I actually have a friend of mine, he's called the friendship guy. And that's what he does is he coaches people on friendship. And I think Brene Brown might also, or maybe it's Mel Robbins, one of those two also has this where they talk about level 1, level 2 and level 3 friendships where it's like there's some people like you have to have people in your life that like true vulnerability. And vulnerability isn't like, oh, this makes me a little comfortable. This is like, I am stripping off all my clothes, taking away any sense of opportunity to fight back. I am giving you every part of me and trusting that you're still going to love me.
mm,
We have to be willing to take that risk, but we also have to be intentional in pouring into relationships to get an opportunity to trust one another and create that connection to have those type of conversations.
yes. And there's
I could
the
talk
dark.
about this all day, James.
It's interesting, Jamie. It's fascinating. I'm enjoying this conversation. Is is there a mistake that people are making when it comes to success? And the three individuals that I just mentioned, tragic and so sad when you hear about this, and people reflect and they think, these people had it all. Is there a mistake that people are missing when it comes to their own self worth?
I don't this is such a great question and I want to kind of come at this from a completely different angle. I don't like calling it a mistake because none of us know what the F we're doing.
That's true.
like
Yeah.
like we all are going to experience failure. We all are going to mess up and not be the best friend or be make the smartest business transaction or whatever. Like we're gonna mess up in life. So I think one, stop chasing perfection, but like I think instead of trying to just do all the time, we need to just be people. Like Be curious. Just show up. Like, I
Mm.
don't mean to say this in a like woo-woo way, but just like show up with genuine interest to love and care about the person you're sitting across the screen from. When you
Yeah.
say, "How are you doing?" genuinely mean it. Like, I think that like social media and just our culture and this ability to hustle and grind and create all of this amazing thing or these amazing things we have in the world is so beautiful. And like one of my most favorite quotes of all times, James, we need water to survive, but water can also kill us. Too
Yeah.
much of anything is a problem. So
Yeah.
we need to take control of our own lives and be willing to recognize, you know what? I don't even know. Like I have a reminder that goes in my phone, off in my phone every Friday that says check in on a loved one. That way, even if life is getting busy, it stops me in my tracks to be like, you know what? I haven't had a conversation with my mom in over a week. I haven't checked in with that friend of mine who was going through a hard time a month ago. Just calling up and be like, "Hey, how are you doing? Hey, let's take it a step further. Let's go grab coffee." So you have to be in
Yeah.
proximity with me for an hour, and you can't just settle for telling me you're fine because you
Yeah.
gotta meet with me face to face and build connection and have conversation and relate and disagree and grow and just I think that that's not as again, it's not a mistake that we're making. I just think it's something we could improve upon by slowing down rather than chasing this next thing.
Yes. How can someone cultivate deep and meaningful conversations with the people around them? Because one of the things that I've noticed too, Jamie, is some of my friends, like I'll say, "How are you doing? How's work?" And it's just, "Yeah, work's fine. Yeah, work's good. Same old, same shit,
Mhm.
different day."
Yep.
How can someone ask the questions to actually really, listen to the person and really have that in-depth conversation with them?
Yep. So I it's actually really funny about this. I haven't done an episode in a really long time, but I have my own podcast and I have an episode specifically on how to communicate and talk to the strong friend. Um,
Yeah.
Especially the one who could just settle for saying I'm fine. And I train this to a lot of my clients and even everybody that's closest to me. We operate on this system. Scale of 1 to 10, where's your headspace? 10 being awesome, 1 check me into a psych ward. You're slowing them down to have to think about it and give you a number, and then you can follow up. Okay, what has you feeling at that number? How could we get that number higher? Or asking better questions, right? So instead of just settling for how's work going, what's something that's going well at work right now? What's something that you've been struggling with lately? Like, don't
Mm,
settle for an open ended question that only gives them the opportunity to just say, fine. Like, lead with curiosity. So that would I those would be my things is well, we'll say two main things. Ask better questions, but how we do that is by genuinely being curious. Like
yeah.
wanting to know. Like back when I used to sell life insurance, that was one thing that we talked about is like how is it that like my 5 closest friends don't actually know how to describe to somebody what it is that I do for a living other than say I
Yeah.
sell life insurance. You know what I mean? Like, how is it that the people closest to us, we don't even actually know what the day-to-day activities at their job looks like? My
Yes.
entire family, James, full transparency, because none of them are entrepreneurs, they have no idea what I do for a living. They're like, "Yeah, so that you're coaching, what is it working?" I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I need to do a better job of connecting with them in that way. But it is like, I think just asking better questions to know and understand that about people. Like, what do you even do at your job? Oh, is
Yeah.
that stressful? You enjoy doing that? Like, genuinely being curious. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, they're interested. Oh, hey, I feel like I could actually talk to them about it because they care. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, this thing I told them about last week when they asked me about this job description, crap just hit the fan and I'm not feeling very good and I hate my job and it's affecting my personal life now. Now you just opened up so much more opportunity to have those conversations. But it's by
Yes.
genuinely being curious and interested in what they have to say or what's going on in their life.
One of the things that I've come to learn about Jamie is the difference between conversations and the way men and women interact with one another. And an example of this might be where I am talking to my girlfriend, and what she really wants is not for me to fix the problem, but just to listen. A lot of men really struggle with this because men are biologically wired to try and fix the problem. Like, if I have a
Yeah.
problem, I'll ask my mates, what do I do? How can I fix this? What can I do with my business? And
Yeah.
it's this conundrum that a lot of men and women really find difficult, is because men really just want to fix the problem when women just want to be seen and heard, and vice versa. Some men will just shut down. Women will ask them, you don't talk to me, you don't open up to me. Why don't you, you know, tell me what's going on? How can we better understand one another as men and women? What are the questions that we can ask one another? This is difficult, really
Yeah.
difficult.
I love this. Yeah. Because pretty cool thing about this is, as you can tell, I am a very type A female. So in a lot of ways, I've improved upon this, right? One, because I believe in being a product of my own product. And if I'm going to coach people how to do this, I better freaking do it myself. But I never used to be somebody who wanted to talk feelings. Like, feelings were gross. Like, I'm a beast and beasts don't cry. Like, are you kidding me? I'm just going to go to work. I'm going to grind and I'm going to just work my problem away. I'm going to go to the gym and then everything is fine. Right. So, what's cool with this is that I can relate to kind of men on this way, but also with females, because clearly I am still a female, and having those moments of needing safety and vulnerability is super important. Um, and in that, again, another communication hack that I have is by asking, like, if anybody comes to you with a problem, are you seeking advice? Do you need words of encouragement, or do you just need to vent? Like, find out what it is that they're actually looking for in that moment. And
Mm,
if you don't know, or if they don't know, just be like, I just want to reassure you, I'm here. I've got your back. If you want to talk about it, we can. If you don't, like, I'm still here. Like, what would make you feel better right now? How can I best support you? Right? Like, that's something I think a man can do with specifically females, right? To help encourage that. Um, the other thing that I will tell you that, and actually I had a pastor that shared this, and he was like, with relationship advice, he's like, never try to match facts with feelings. So if, especially, like, females are all up in their feelings and you try to respond with facts, you're hitting a stone wall. You gotta meet feelings with feelings. If they're feeling sad, you've got to acknowledge that they're feeling sad and just kind of sit in that. But if you try to overcome with a solution and speak facts, they're not in a position to be able to hear that.
yes.
And I would also like to flip this though too, that yes, I know that men are biologically wired to go into that. Like, that's the beautiful thing about men and women being different. And also, men do need to create space with someone to be able to express emotions, even if
Yeah.
that's through a physical activity, like, let's go golfing, let's go roll around on the mat for a little bit, right? Like, you have to still be able to create an opportunity to do something with those emotions,
Yeah.
which is creating what the I feel like the corporate term now is the psychological safety, is letting somebody know that this environment is safe for me to be vulnerable no matter what that looks like.
Yeah. There was a viral video on TikTok, Jamie. I don't know if you saw this. It was a man sitting down and he had a piece of wire, mechanical wire, and he was talking about how he was just sitting there. He looked very sad and depressed because it had an analogy towards his life. He had that piece of wire for over 40 years. And his wife comes over with the camera and say, "What are you doing?" And he explains the whole thing with the wire. And I don't think she intentionally tried to belittle him. But I can't remember what she said. But the internet just went fucking ballistic. Um,
Yes. He
they went,
totally dismissed it.
yeah, yeah. You saw that video? What was your
Yes.
reaction to that video? Because some of the comments I read were, um, telling your feelings to a woman is like bleeding in the water with where there's sharks. Um, in the comments, you should just read all the comments. And I've talked about this before on numerous podcasts about men showing vulnerability and being emotional in front of women. I've had some very in-depth conversations and insightful conversations. And this is also a tricky slump that men face. They're
Yeah.
extremely worried about opening up to their romantic partner because they're fearful and worried about it being used against them in a future argument. But what was your reaction?
Yeah, it broke my heart for that guy. But also, like I said, because I work probably 50% of my business, it fluctuates, but at least half of my business ends up being that I work with men, specifically
Yeah.
high performing men. And it's because they don't know how to even tap into emotions, let alone to then try to communicate their emotions. So for me, I was very, very disappointed in that response. Um, what I will also say, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, as somebody who is single and also has come from a broken home of divorce, like leading that way is, and again, and I'm not saying this in a way that's going to be judging anybody. I'm saying this from my perspective and what I know and believe within my faith and the reason to choose marriage. So if somebody is wanting to get married for tax benefits and insurance and whatever, then you do you. Maybe this just isn't for you. You take what you need and leave the rest. But for me, if you are wanting to genuinely give yourself to another person where you're saying the vows that for better or for worse, through sickness and in health, I will ride with you to the end.
Yeah.
You should be so insanely particular about how you are picking your partner. So many people are getting married because of the idea of marriage of we're going to get married, live in a house, have kids and dance off into the sunset. And then they wonder why it's unsuccessful because they weren't actually tied to a mission to get to live out in their marriage together. So then
Yeah.
what happens is it falls into this role of being comfortable that, well, he's the man, he's the provider, he's supposed to be the strong one. This is what he's supposed to do. And this is my role. And that's where bitterness comes in. And that's where the lack of communication and willingness to grow together falls by the wayside. Relationships take work.
Yeah.
You're going to constantly be revealing parts of you that need healing, just like your partner is. It doesn't matter, who has bigger hurt behind them, the man or the woman. You're going to trigger different things in one another, and you're going to learn and grow and understand different ways how you need to be loved and like maybe where you were not loved. And so when you're choosing somebody as a partner, like those are things you have to be willing to take into consideration. And I'm like, not bashing this guy, right? Like, I believe those two love one another, but the comfortability and the lack of emotional intelligence or awareness of what's going on in their relationship fell by the wayside. And
Yeah.
that's what the problem is. And so that's something I just think in general should be talked about more about how we're pursuing and how we're showing up in choosing a partner. But even if you already chose that person, how is it that you guys are actually working on building and improving upon your relationship every day rather than, well, this is who I married. This is just who they are. This is who they're going to be. They're the father of my kids. Guess I'm stuck. No wonder
Yeah.
you're miserable in a relationship and your husband doesn't feel safe to share it with you. Look at how you think of him.
Yes.
Mhm.
I wonder about our World War II veterans, Jamie, and how the women back in those days would have been able to help their husbands and partners, with some of the traumatic experiences they would have had to have seen in
Yeah.
war times. I'm guessing some of these men would have woken up in a puddle of sweat. They'd be crying in the middle of the night. And I wonder how women back in those days would have been able to handle men's emotions, because this is something that's very interesting to me. Is I don't know if women really understand what it is for a man to be vulnerable, even to the point where he might even cry. Like if there's been a death in the family and he sheds a tear, how is that woman going to be able to receive that? How is she going to be able to handle that? What is she going to do? What's her reaction going to be? And this is another reason why the suicide rate is so much higher in men than it is in women.
Yeah.
How can women play a role in this? What can they do? How can they
Mhm.
understand better to help in a situation like this?
Yes. So, two answers that I think are super crucial here. One, first and foremost, and like I will equally stand up for men and women, but at this point, with a lot of things that I see that come from women, women are no longer championing men. Hence, in that situation of like now, because of this expectation of them to be this thing, that's why they don't know how to do it. So, as a woman, but again, I also say this would go for a man and vice versa. You need to be putting the work in on yourself. You
Mm,
need to take control of how you're healing your own stuff and stop expecting somebody else to heal it for you. Because then when you see how that exchange works, you're going to be more like emotionally aware of how to take that on. When you're growing yourself, you now are going to have the ability to better serve those around you. So it starts with yourself. But secondly, there's something pretty it kind of comes full circle with what I was saying earlier, but I think also what happened a lot more back during like World War II than what we have now is it takes a freaking community. You cannot expect your partner to be 100% everything to you because guess what? As a best mate, like you talking to Joe about a problem he's having, like, this is my boy. Like, I can share things with him in a way that I can't the woman that I'm protecting and providing for. You also can't expect your woman, just like how a woman can't expect her man to be their 100% everything. That's why the phrase, it takes a village. You need people to help support, to raise your kids, to be there when times get tough, to pick you up when you're down, right? Like, I have certain friends of mine that I know when I'm feeling vulnerable and there's a certain thing going wrong in my life in this particular area, they're the person that I can go to. I know that this is something a coach or a mentor who can give me an unbiased
mm,
like feedback. That's who I'll go through. A therapist, going to my mom, going to, you know, a pastor, whatever. Like you can't put that pressure all on one human being.
yeah.
And especially as leaders, right? Going back to even say the high performer aspect, that's also why you see this suicide rate, in my opinion, of these successful people is because it gets lonely when you get to the top. Because people you also think are your friends or your support system, you are experiencing probably more times than not that they're wanting something from you. They're wanting to attach to your success. They're wanting to attach to the money that you have. They want to get invited to the world that you're in. And now you're feeling like used or that you're having to bring them up with you that you can't relate to the same type of problems as them.
Mm,
So having a mentor in your life all the time, having a therapist, having specific people that you can take it. It doesn't have to be the same person for everything, but having multiple people that you can turn to in your life on that.
yes. Famous podcaster Jamie, he said, men have to earn the right to express their emotions. There's a famous story of Chris Bumstead, who's a professional bodybuilder. If you look at him from an outside perspective, he's the pinnacle of masculinity, strong,
Yeah.
powerful, stoic. He has all the qualities that a lot of men look up to. Men want to be him and women want to be with him. But he reportedly cried in his girlfriend's arms. And if you think about it and dissect that, what does that mean? Men have to earn the right to express their emotions. A lot of men need to get to a place where they're very, very strong physically, emotionally, mentally, and then they can vent. Um, what do you think of this? Because I know there are a lot of men that aren't in a position where they could probably vent, let alone to a woman, and even men. I'm not bashing women at all. I think men are just as much to blame as well. Some men can be very
Yeah.
cruel towards one another. Man up, pull your bootstraps up. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think of the idea that a man needs to build himself up? He needs to build his value up to be able to vent and even shed a tear. Like, for example, Brad Pitt, he can cry on camera because he's Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Um, which even in that scenario though, That's because he's getting paid to cry. That still doesn't mean that he's being vulnerable. You know
That's
what I
true,
mean?
yeah.
So, two things on this, and again, take what you need, leave the rest, because this is very much me just speaking my belief system, but that is also why I believe it's so important to have faith in a higher power, because that
Mm,
is something no human being, there is not a single thing on this earth that can be your 100% everything. So the creator of you, the God who created you, is the one who's going to know you better than anyone. So being able to have a relationship with your heavenly father and spending time in relationship with that I think first and foremost is even, because even me, like, so I run my business by myself. I live by myself, and I don't have a significant other. So for me, it is me, myself, and I functioning in all of those ways. I don't I I didn't used to have a relationship with God, which is why I burnt out, which is why I tried ending my life on multiple occasions, because it was too hard, because I felt like nobody understood, because I was expecting people and things of the world to complete me when it couldn't.
mm,
So I think relationship with God is important. Again, take what you need, leave the rest. I'm not going to push that on anybody. But I think secondly is it goes to really taking a look within of like who are the type of people that you want to surround yourself with, right? Like you've got to be aware, like if this is something that I need to release, like I need to find a community of men, of whoever, right? Business leaders, of I need to find a partner who also values emotional intelligence and the ability to have these type of conversations and growth, right? And so then you are getting to be more selective in who you are even surrounding yourself with, which then now is going to help you build, you as you said, earn, right? That's that psychological safety that is presenting itself, because you trust that I can break down and cry, and I know that I'm not going to be rejected here. I know I'm not going to be judged for it. Somebody may not have a solution for me, but this is a place that I can drop the facade.
yeah,
So it's really taking a look, right? Like you hear it all the time of like, "Oh, you're looking for a significant other. What is my list? What is my criteria of what I want in a significant other?" Why don't we do that for a best friend? Why don't we do that for a business partner? What is it that I value? Do they align with the same values I do? How are they spending their time? Are they relentless in refusing to face their own emotions? Then that's probably not somebody I'm going to want to bring my emotions to, because they won't even present their own, right? Like
yeah,
being aware of what that environment would look like, and then spending time in that environment.
yeah. You mentioned burnout as well, Jamie,
Mhm.
and, I think this is also interesting. This is fascinating because you talk about this in your work. But what do you think are some of the early signs of burnout that people often overlook before it's too late?
Um, there's so many. I am a big fan of doing self audits, and we track the stats of our business, but how often are we doing a self check-in? And very rarely we are. So I think the early signs are is that my calendar isn't full enough, or I'm now sacrificing my sleep and the things that make me healthy, like having connection and communication with people that bring me joy, treating my body healthy by putting good nourishment in it and doing something active that makes me feel stronger, right? Doing something like that. The second you start sacrificing those things because work becomes more important, because the goal becomes more important, because fear kicks in because of too much rejection, those are the early signs.
Yeah. And how do you personally reconnect with yourself when you've noticed that you're out of alignment or running empty?
Yep. So I actually do a daily check in with myself. I do a weekly and I do a monthly, what I call self audit. But the one that I think is the most fruitful in answering your question is every single Sunday, I have a non negotiable time on my calendar that people don't get to access me on that Sunday, because that's my chance for me to recharge, have a chance to assess my week, and then be able to prep for the upcoming week. And so I have 4 questions that I ask myself. What went well last week? What didn't go well last week? What's my focus for this upcoming week? And then my fourth question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is my mind? How is my body? How is my spirit? And now I rank that like, have I been really rude to myself? Have I been really mentally defeated because a lot of rejection or a lot of things going wrong within my work week or my personal life? Where's my mind at? Ooh, it's only at like a 4. Okay, how's my body? Well, I wanted to run from my problems this week, so I was in the gym a lot. So I am feeling jacked. I'm feeling fit. All is good. Body feels great. Spiritually, how am I doing? I've spent time in my Bible every single day. I've been able to pour into people and my spirit feels pretty good, but my mind is trash. Okay. So what is it that I need to do this week to focus on to get my mindset better? Is it like having people speak life into me? Is it me listening to like motivational stuff that can just like confirm like the things that I'm capable of doing rather than focusing on the things I think I can't do or all the things that I think are going wrong? Is it every single day writing what I'm proud of myself for, right? And then same with the other two, like body. I was really stressed this week and I was not kind to my body because I ended up choosing to just pick up food instead of make the food that genuinely makes me feel good. Um, or I really didn't get a lot of sleep this week. Or hey, like I overdid it at the gym because like I was in a bad mood and I overexerted myself and my body feels like trash. Okay, what do I need to focus on this week? I need better rest. I need to take a rest day. Maybe I should go stretch. Maybe I should go get a massage. You catch my drift.
Yeah. What's bubble bath self-care? You talk about that, but also being misunderstood. Can you talk a little bit about that? What is that?
I'm really impressed. You did your research. I personally don't like bubble bath self-care. I think it serves a purpose to an extent. Um, but it makes me really sad when people are living for the weekend or they are living for their next vacation or they need wine at the end of their day to take the edge off. They need a bubble bath to find self-care. Yes, those are fun things you can go do by vacation and having all these things. But okay, actually, before I go into this, I'll tell you my personal experience why specifically bubble bath. I had this idea because social media talked about like the bubble bath with the candles and the wine and all this stuff as a way to just relax and like spend time with yourself. Dude, so overrated. First of all, you're laying in like your dead skin cells as they're coming off
Ugh.
of your body. The water
Yeah.
doesn't stay hot very long. The bubbles go away. You're laying back trying to take a drink of your wine and then it spills on you. Like it's not this cool experience like the movies make it seem. So that's part of why I don't like it. But the other reality is because to me, I think the best form of self-care you can do is the deep work. That doesn't mean you have to live in your emotions all the time. But that means like, hey, what is something that has just really been keeping me from being genuinely happy in my life? Who is it that I really am? Who is it that I want to be? What do I value most in life? Like to me, those are the best forms of self-care that you can give yourself because then you get excited about life. You're more confident in who you are and now you know what it is that you want and you can enjoy the process of life. Yes, now still go on the vacations. Yes, still go outside for a walk and appreciate the sun and the flowers and all of that. Like those are still advantageous too. But I think the way more beneficial self-care is to genuinely get to know yourself and to work through the hard things. Because when you release that, the peace and the freedom you get from that, man, that is a peace the world cannot take from you. That
Yeah.
is peace that a bubble bath, even if you enjoy the bubble bath self-care, will never be able to give you.
Yeah. And you're right too, Jamie. A lot of people do hang out for the weekend. They it's like this, this clock. It's just ongoing, nonstop. It's just it's a horrible kind of thing to think about that we waste so much time throughout the week and then live for the weekends. But what can people do right now to have better weeks, especially like Monday? People are stuck in commute 2, 3 hours sometimes. What can they be doing to make their time more useful? And then what else? Like, I mean, because a lot of people do the hard jobs. Hard jobs need to be done, and I have such respect for people that work in infrastructure and the power lines and just everything around us that's being built right now. All these big, massive buildings. It's not fun to do that in the hot sun. But what's something that you can sort of talk about with people that are sort of stuck in this boring, arduous, mundane 9 to 5 work life schedule?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things here is one, and I actually just shared this with my last client that I had a call with earlier today. Like, you get to do that job. Like, yes, there's gonna be times that it sucks and it's work, but you're getting paid for it. And you chose to do that job. Like, so instead of getting sucked into the Monday suck because I'm back to the work grind, like, biologically as men, to be a provider, to do and to build things and to feel like a job well done by completing a project, like, that feels good.
Yeah.
But instead, we get sucked into this toxic way of thinking. It's just another time I have to clock hours. There's all these other things that I'd rather be doing. Must be nice. Like, we create our own, like, loneliness and misery in our own brain, you know? And so it's like that would be the first part, is shifting about, like, genuinely enjoying what it is that you get to do. Like, yeah, like that building, it sucked because it was really freaking hot this day, but every time you drive past that, I built that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how much better already like that feels than another day, another grind, right? But I also think too, and this is a big thing that I coach on as well, as boundaries, right? Like, you also still have to know your limits, and no means no. And when you clock out, like, how are you choosing to spend that time? If you have a 3 hour long commute, what are you listening to at the end of a day? Like, because I always even joke and say this too: do Mondays suck or do you suck? Because after a long hard work day, if you're consuming alcohol, alcohol is a depressant. It is a straight poison you're putting in your body, and now your body is working overtime to try to get this poison out. Your heart rate is through the roof, so your sleep is trash, even if you think alcohol before bed makes you sleep better. No wonder you're waking up depressed. Right? So it's like, what are you doing with your time also outside of work, on your commute? Are you creating fellowship with a good friend and being like, "Hey man, I'm just driving, you're free too. Let's chat. We haven't talked in a while."
Mhm.
Listening to something positive, right? Like an audiobook or whatever. Like, there's so many things that we can do to create more happiness in our day-to-day life rather than chasing happiness at the end of the weekend when we think we earned it. No, there is so much good stuff happening every single day. Again, I told you I do the self audits. At the end of every day, my phone will be going off here in about 30 minutes. What went well today? That's one of my questions. Like, or even when I wake up in the morning, it's my goal today to strike up a conversation with a stranger and just see what happens from it.
Yeah.
No expectation, hearing somebody's story and being inspired by it. That's something joyful you could do on a commute to work.
What about resiliency and hardship and obstacles
Mm.
and overcoming adversity, Jamie? Because I think as well, it's something that children can learn from this is the idea of doing difficult things has a profound effect cognitively and mentally just on the way you handle obstacles in life. We
Yep.
all go through hard times. We all go through sadness. We all go through depression. And as parents, parents just want to helicopter their kids. They don't, because they're parents, they love their kids. But sometimes too, you're setting the kids up to fail if you're always there for them through the downs and the hardships and not coaching them through it. They're not going to be independent. They're not going to be able to handle these problems later on in life. And I teach martial arts. I teach kids jujitsu, and I explained to one of the kids the other day. I said, you're going to tap out. That's the game. Like, I've tapped out before. I've had 40-kilogram women when I first started jujitsu tap me out. This is life. but how can parents better coach their kids in being able to handle resiliency and implementing these tools in life?
Oh, I got like you're asking great questions because I could talk for hours about every single one of these questions. I think there's a couple layers to this because one, I think it's something that parents um, could maybe be more aware of, but it's also we live in a world of instant gratification. So
Yes.
we are also constantly sold that if you just manifest it, it'll come to fruition with ease and you don't have to work. If it feels hard, it's not for you. Like these are mottos that are being engraved into adults and kids right now. So first of all, like the first quote that came to my mind as you started saying that is if you want a hard life, do easy things. If you
I
want an
was
easy
thinking
life,
that.
do hard things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, go ahead. I thought you were going
Jimmy
to say something
Carr,
more.
Jimmy Carr, he said, "Hard choices now, easy life later."
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
so I think um love, like real love is giving somebody the opportunity to learn for themselves. That doesn't mean that you don't protect, right? As a parent, that's still your job is to raise in that way. But I think also a lot of times what parents tend to do is they try to create the life for their child that they didn't have.
Mm,
So they're actually parenting their younger selves instead of their kid. If a parent isn't willing to do the hard things in the way that is productive, right? There is such thing as doing hard things that isn't necessary, right? Wisdom teaches you how to learn the difference. Um, but I think that being able to love them enough to let them fail is crucial. When I used to coach competitive cheer, that was one thing I used to tell my girls all the time. We had a like we it was like the movie Bring It On, if you ever remember or heard of that movie, where we were the team that
yeah.
like our football team was trash and they would go every season defeated, but we were like in the locker room for 2 days and watching tapes and like wait, we were really good. And so with all of that, naturally a lot of the competitions that were competed in, we walked away as first place. And I'll never forget the first time they got humbled and they took like fourth at a competition and they were expecting me to like be upset and I was so pumped. I'm like, "Good. I'm glad you lost because I don't think that you genuinely know how to win until you have learned how to lose." True character shows when somebody is not losing in life and how you choose to handle it. So there's power in loss.
Yeah. It's interesting too, Jamie. I think doing difficult things that are hard makes you happy. It's like,
1000%.
this is like the whole ice bath craze that people were doing. You remember this.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stop scrolling on social media and you see someone doing an ice bath, because it's difficult. No one wants to get in freezing cold water, but it's the aftermath. It's the dopamine hit that you get from doing difficult things. And I think this is why a lot of people resonate towards Jordan Peterson because one of his I think 12 rules for life in his book was to make your bed first thing in the morning. Do a task, do something as easy as that is, because it has such a profound effect on your day. Uh, what is your belief that people need to understand regarding doing difficult things and how that sort of resets the brain for how they feel happy emotionally?
So it's funny, the make your bed thing, I'm big on that. That's one of mine. I write down, I don't even know where it's at, but I have a notebook where I write out my morning routine and my to-dos for the whole day every single evening in my evening routine. And before I walk out of the house to go to the gym, I wake up at 4:03 a.m. every morning. I have like a set routine. I don't necessarily do it all in the same order, but like making my bed and doing things that are productive because that way before I even walk out the door to go to the gym, I just hit 10 things off my list and I feel like a freaking rock star that I completed 10 things and half the world isn't even up yet. Like so I do believe psychologically there's a lot to that. But I almost want to take it to another angle too, is think of it this way. If somebody gifts you a Lambo, how long after you think that that novelty wears off that you're going to start getting really reckless with it?
Yeah.
Because you didn't earn it. It was
Mm.
just freely gifted, so there's no real true appreciation than if you worked your butt off to be able to pay in cash for a Lambo, and you are going to literally be, like, putting a silk cover over it every time you, like, park in a parking lot. Like, you're going to care because you know the effort and the appreciation that went into making that happen. Like, it always blows my mind, like, people who, like, rent versus own. Like, you're renting somebody else's home. They know it's you living in there and you just trash it like you don't even care. But again, they didn't have to earn it. They just walk in and move in and they just pay month's rent every month. But if you would have had to put the blood, sweat, and tears to be able to see the cost of what all went into first even purchasing the property and fixing everything, I guarantee you would treat that home way better if it was something you worked for. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mm.
think that that's even the mentality behind it too, is that, like, you appreciate it more because you know the investment and the cost that came with it.
What would your advice be to somebody that's hyper industrious and ambitious that has a specific goal, whether it be a business, and they're not seeing immediate results, and they're working long hours? They're doing a 9 to 5, and then after that they're doing a 5 to 9 working on their business, but they've been chipping away for 3, even 4, 5 years, and they're still not seeing any results. What would your advice be to that
Yep.
person?
A couple things. The first one that immediately comes to mind is typically things that blow up and take off really, really quickly, dissolve really, really quickly. And so the fact, like, even think of braces on your teeth, right? You don't put them on and after 24 hours your teeth are straight, right? You have to go through this discomfort and this awkwardness, but you know that in 2 years when these braces come off, those are going to be some nice pearly whites that are perfectly aligned, right? So I think it's like appreciating the struggle in the sense that, like, I am going to take full advantage of everything this building season has to offer. If it's not going as fast as what I want it to, I'm going to take advantage and I'm going to lock in my systems. So that way, as it gets bigger and bigger, holy cow, my systems are already set and prepared for this larger capacity that I'm about to take on, right? Like, how are you using this preparation phase? Because I don't know, like I said, anything that comes to you very quickly typically is going to go away very quickly. So I would see that as a benefit, that it's not happening as quick as what you thought it was going to.
Yeah.
If you choose to be intentional and make the most out of this season as you can.
I heard Tony Robbins say most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 3 to 5 years. And I mean, you can do a
100%.
lot in a year, even as well. You can make
Mhm.
dramatic change just by daily actions.
Yeah.
And that just has such a profound effect. Um, that's the thing too, Jamie. That's the thing that's really frustrating is people want immediate results. They want that gratification, as you were talking about before. But it's in that grind where you're still learning, you're still growing, and that's why they call it overnight success for a reason. Yeah. So when you're talking about mindset and, you know, cultivating purpose and meaning. So when you start working with someone, what's the biggest mindset shift they usually need to make before real transformations begin?
So if we would be talking, like, let's even say a prerequisite for if I am determining that they are a fit to work with me, I always say you're not broken and it's not my job to fix you, and I can't want this for you more than what you want it for yourself.
Mm,
So I qualify first, like, are you actually ready and willing to get in the trenches because it's going to suck? If you're not ready to embrace the suck, I'm not ready to work with you because I can't carry you through this. I am in the journey with you, but you have to want this for yourself more than what I want it for you. So that's more of my pre-qualifier. Um, but from there, then I always end up asking them, like, I need to know that you're coachable and teachable, because if you're going to let ego sit in the steering wheel, or sit in the driver's seat where you are going to be like, I don't like that. I don't like that. If ego is going to lead the whole thing, you're not going to hear anything that I'm going to have to say anyways. And it's a waste of both of our time. So you have to be open and willing and ready to work through some really gunky stuff, because again, that is the best form of self-care, and the best investment you could ever make is really working from the inside out.
Yeah. We had a law that was just passed recently, Jamie, banning social media for anybody under the age of 16 over here in
I love
Australia.
that.
Yeah. And I'm thinking too, like, Jesus, I'm so glad I wasn't brought up in this generation with a cell phone. I think the first iPhone came out in 2008,
Mhm.
with all the apps on it. And, I didn't have a mobile phone back at school. What do you
Mhm.
think social media has to do with all this regarding even kids being able to pay attention? Kids can't pay attention. ADHD is on the rise, and even too, like, we're all guilty of it. We'll just be on social media doom scrolling. I can't imagine how my brain would have been able to handle all this stimulus at that age.
So, one, there's a book actually all about this, a sociologist who studied all of this. It's called The Anxious Generation. Fascinating.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
This is a
Um,
book?
yes.
A book, yeah.
Fascinating book, yes. And so I also, in a way, cannot imagine what that would be like, but I'm a millennial too. So what's really cool is I get to be the bridge of, like, knowing both sides of the advantages of technology, but also the disadvantages, right? Um, but as I mentioned before too, I think what's also most important is we need water to survive, and water can also kill us. We need to recognize this as a tool,
Uh,
instead of this being a piece of technology that owns and runs and operates our life for us. The fact that we don't know how to leave home without it, because our anxiety is, unless well, what if I need to call somebody? What if I need to text somebody? Okay, but what if you don't? Like, it's gonna
yeah.
be okay. Like, we've created it because of this ability to have everything right away. But what's also interesting to this is, part of me, even, I'm sure these laws will help contribute to it, but I wonder if social media is going to reach that point, because I said it on this, like, the future of AI type of
Mhm.
conference thing a couple months ago. And think of other big fads and trends that we've experienced. Smoking. Everybody used to have cigarettes hanging out of their mouths. That was the cool thing to do, right? It was this big long trend. And then all of a sudden, after this certain period, they realized all of the negative effects of smoking cigarettes. Right? Even alcohol right now is on this trend of people realizing how bad it is for you. And, like, last year, I think, for, like, in New York City on New Year's Eve, it was ranked as one of the lowest profit brought in for alcohol sales on New Year's Eve in, like, years, because
Really?
so many people are using sobriety because they're recognizing it's not as great as what they thought it was. And
Mm,
so I even almost wonder sometimes, are kids also gonna reach this point because that's all they've known? Like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not everything. Like, yeah, I know these are the ways that I can use it, but I don't need it for the hype of this. So, like, I also wonder if we will reach that point of evolution that the novelty of it will finally wear off. I mean, you see it all, even like trends all over social media now too, of like, step away from your phone, meditation, this is bad for you. Like, people are seeing the warning signs of it and choosing to live differently. It's just how quickly that becomes successful is probably not going to be a thing. But I think
yeah.
that that's how we can do it, in addition to having laws in place that don't allow kids to do it, but adults are just as bad. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting in a meeting and I am the only person that doesn't have my phone out, or that it wasn't disrupted because they stopped to look at their watch. I'm like, thank you for telling me that I'm not a priority without telling me that
Yeah.
whatever is happening on your phone and in your life is far more important than me sitting here. Thank you for wasting my time. I've said
Yeah.
that before to people, that we don't even know how to, like, as adults, we need to take better control over that, because why would our kids live any differently if those who didn't grow up with it are so addicted to it?
Yeah. I heard Simon Sinek. Do you know who Simon Sinek is, Jamie?
11.
Yeah. I heard him say, if you leave your phone on the table face up or face down, subconsciously that tells the other person that you're not that important. My
Yep,
time is more valuable than yours.
yep.
Um, yeah, it is. It's a bit of a worry as well, especially kids nowadays. Because yeah, you mentioned you're a millennial. What year were you, Jamie?
Like, what year was I born?
Yeah.
91.
1991, yeah. So I was born in 1986. I'm the same. I saw the transition.
Yeah,
We remember very well, what it was like to go to the video store and rent a movie.
yep.
We remember the times where a lot of kids were outdoors playing. Now kids are just on their tablets and phones all day long. But yeah, what can we do as a society to better sort of handle equipped with what's to come with AI and all this technology? It's becoming extremely helpful, but at the same time, it's also raising alarm bells that's really making us disconnected from one another.
I think that we all have our own responsibility to make the decisions ourselves to not let our phones run us. Like, go outside and touch grass, bro. Because, like, I think in the Anxious Generation book, that's even what it says, is that people are more scared to leave their house because of everything they're seeing on social media. Like, I personally don't believe that we were ever meant to know all of what's happening in the entire world. Like, don't get me wrong, it isn't good. And it's important to be in the know of that. But when you are so fixated on something that's happening in another state or another country that now you're afraid to leave your house, when in reality, it's like you don't even know who your neighbors are. Like, you're threatened by people you don't even know. Like, maybe go get an opportunity to know them. Stop letting the fear and what all of this news is telling you is bad. They're like, I think there's a statistic in it that even says something about how it's actually causing more harm for people to stay inside than for them to go outside and take the risk in a world that is so filled with violence.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
think about it. Also, if we're not as aware of that happening and we are actually just going and having conversations with people, we're having dinner and not feeling the need to go check and, excuse my language, but bitch about what's happening in politics, you're happier. Like, okay, I love quoting this movie, but it's such a terrible movie. Legally Blonde. There's a scene in there when they're like, "How do you know that this chick didn't kill her husband?" Because it's this older, like, rich dude, and she's this young, hot thing, and so they all think that she did it for the money. And they're like, "How do you know she didn't do it?" And the character Reese Witherspoon, she responds by saying, "Exercising gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't kill their husbands." And so it's like, being on social media makes you sad. When you're sad, you get really depressed and you live in fear. Like, that's not going to lead to a very fruitful life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
another reason too, Jamie, I don't like to watch the news because it's just so depressing.
I don't.
You can
Yep.
be informed, but you don't have to be inundated.
I
This
haven't
is
even owned a TV in over 7.5 years because I don't see the
yeah,
point.
yeah. Like we had a thing over here in Australia, Jamie. This blew my mind. People were hoarding toilet paper rolls, um, and panic
Happened here
buying
too.
when COVID happened. All that shit with the
Same.
lockdown. I'm thinking, what the fuck do you need 30 packs of toilet paper for? You know,
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe what was going on in the world. I'm thinking, man,
Yeah.
this isn't good.
But we let fear take over us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Full
So true.
transparency again, like, I stayed off social media. I don't have a TV. I didn't watch the news. I was living my life exactly the same.
Yeah.
I was still able to go to the gym. I went to the grocery store. I read
Yeah.
books. I walked my dog. I touched grass, hung out and not weed. I went out and actually just was in nature, and I was at peace because I
Yeah.
wasn't needing to get sucked into all of this stuff that I didn't need to.
Jamie, if you could take a moment to think, When was the last time you felt truly fulfilled beyond your achievements?
Oh, this is such a great question. Yesterday. I I had some really, really cool meetings with some really cool leaders where we got a chance to be vulnerable and we were talking about success and we were talking about God and just living life and how we can help other people and what that all looks like. And I just felt so fulfilled that like I cried and I was vulnerable about things I was struggling with. And so did they. But then it was like we felt this comfort because we were connected and talking about that. And then I got to help a friend through a really, really hard time, finished my day with a Bible study with my friends. And I'm like, I have a healthy body. I have a healthy mind. I am so grateful for the people that are in my life. And I love the work that I'm doing because I am leading a life of integrity and truly living out my mission to try to help as many people as I can. So, yesterday.
Amazing. I love that, Jamie. And if you could go back and talk to your younger self before she started chasing success, what wisdom would you share?
It's my favorite question. um, I would tell her trust the process because one, I'm going to be like, sweetie, you're an idiot. You're not going to listen to me anyways. So I'm not going to give you any wisdom. Just trust the process because I promise it's going to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Jamie, where can people find you if they want to book in for you? And what have you got coming up? Seminars or webinars? What have you got going on?
Yeah, so I am the Jayme with no eyes, so Jayme. My Instagram, Jayme the Coach. My website is coachjayme.com. I actually have a book called Beyond the Words, 123 quotes to inspire action and growth. I have a boundaries course. You can go to my website, you can cyber stalk me and DM me if there's anything I can do from a coaching perspective. I might have some retreats in the books in the future. I have a couple of upcoming speaking events, but they're more corporate stuff.
Mm,
So outside of that, yeah, probably mainly the book, the boundaries course. And you can just cyber stalk me. I'm everywhere all the time, always
yeah.
popping up on a podcast near you.
Yeah. And do you think you'll make your way to Australia one day? Have you been to Australia?
Not yet. Listen, very much on my bucket list. The irony is that I have coached people out of Australia.
Yeah.
So it is on my list. I will definitely make it there. No question.
Fantastic, Jamie. Jamie, it's been a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed chatting with you. Very insightful. You're a fascinating person, and I love what you're doing with a lot of these people and really changing lives.
I appreciate that. Thank you for being willing to have me and connect with me all the way here in Texas. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. And that is one good thing I think we can think of with social media. That's how we found each other. So, it's not
Oh,
all
which
bad.
also, if you and your girlfriend ever want to come to Austin, Texas, I will fill you in on all the best places to go. So if I go to Australia, y'all have to come to Texas.
Oh, 100%. I've been to the States a few times. I only stopped off in Texas a little bit, but I'd love to stay there a
Okay.
lot longer. You guys have some
Austin's a lot
fantastic
of fun.
steakhouses over there.
Oh, it is like the amount of food and music that are in this city,
Mm.
insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks again, Jamie.
Yes. Thank you.